Man, shout out to my big brother Triton for teaching me about women at such a young age. The knowledge he was giving me, I thought he was a manipulator. Back when I was in elementary, he was in high school, and he'd have multiple women in rotation coming through the house, dime pieces. I remember I was in his room watching him play video games, man. Every 30 seconds, he would pause the game to text another woman back. And here's the thing, my mother would give me advice when it came to women. Buy the girl this, do this romantic thing for her, be the nice guy. It never seemed to work in my favor. But after listening to Big Bro, things worked out so well that I ended up losing my virginity at the age of 14. So, I want to tell you the 10 main things my brother taught me about women. And if you do number 10, you'll never struggle with women again. So, let's take this drive. Number 1, observe the woman around you, right? So, around you, you probably have a lot of women that you're not even aware of that you can learn a lot from. For example, your mother. My mother specifically, I'll tell you, man, yeah, I used to think, man, I can't even, really get no game from my mother. She could tell me all this, shit to, make the women damn near win. I need to win too, mom. But nah, you don't just listen to what she's saying. You pay attention to their actions, the women around you, your sister. Pay attention to what they're doing. My mother is pretty and beautiful as she is. She was... And she had niggas in rotation too. Having men do things for her. You put on my damn seatbelt so they can shut the hell up. Paying for things. Paying to get this fixed. Coming over to fix XYZ, right? And I'm like, damn, she got like a whole, a whole building unit. She got like a whole life unit, gardeners. You know what I mean? She had plumbing. I'm like, damn, she like, but here's the thing. She would never like get into nothing serious with them, right? You know what I'm saying? She'd be going on dinner dates. I'm like, damn. So it really started to let me know, wow, there are women out here, right? And I'm seeing how she's moving. I'm seeing the game she's playing, how she's making them chase her, making them, crave the presence of her. So I'm like, wow, right? That's just from observing, what's going on as a young child. And then I start looking at other people around me, like the women I was dealing with. Right? I'm like, okay, let's see how she moves. I'm paying attention to different relationships. I'm like, damn, wow, she's like, doing this for him. She got a roster of these motherfuckers. I'm like, wow, there's something really going on here. But it only happened, I only could see it when I paid attention, right? And that leads me to number 2. Be a sniper, not a frontline soldier. So when my brother was always talking to me, he always make the analogy, hey, you need to stop being a frontline soldier. You need to be a sniper. I said, well, bro, what the hell does that mean? Well, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, listen, a frontline soldier is the one who's just shooting straight in the open, right? He's all the women around them are seeing, let's say you're in a club, right? He's just not sniping. Let's say you're in a club. He's shooting at every woman, not even thinking about who's seeing him. Right? He's just approaching her, talking to her, and by the time, he gets to certain women, it's like, man, this guy's just a player. He just, talk to everybody, get the fuck out of here, community dick, right? That's how they perceive him now, because he's just talking to everybody. He's a frontline soldier. He doesn't give a fuck, right? But then you got the sniper. And what does the sniper do? You see, the sniper picks off his targets one by one. He's not shooting at everybody and poisoning the well. He's actually sitting there, he's calculating. He's okay, I see her, I can just tell, by her body language, she's not even, looking my race. She's not even interested in me. She's interested in him. But this one over here in this corner, oh, she's into me. And I see another one over there who's also interested in me. So I'm gonna go over here to this corner, when she's not looking, I'm gonna go ahead and talk to her, give her contact information, boom, boom, boom. Okay, I'm gonna make my way around, have some small chat. Okay, I'm gonna make my way over. You see what I'm doing here? And make my way over to her and talk to her. He's calculated. He sees the playing field, and he sees the other snipers as well, because you have to understand, women are the same way, right? They're more analytical. They're more thinking like, okay, now who is this guy talking to? Who's the type of woman he's going for? And it's okay actually when you get seen talking to other women, but what type of women are you actually dealing with? What type of women are you actually talking to? So when a sniper woman sees a sniper man, it's like, okay, he's picking off her, but okay, that's a quality woman. She actually looks good, and he's not just looking at her, because she has a nice body, pretty face. No, I can tell they have some great chemistry together. Okay, and then what if you over there and talk to the sniper woman? Okay, now you talking to the sniper woman. She like, hey, okay, I see what you're doing, but okay, I kind of like you. I can tell you got some taste. You're not just out here You see what I'm saying? Because he was real selective. So what does all of this mean? You have to be selective of who you're actually dealing with, of who you're giving your time, your energy, your presence to. Because if you give your presence to the wrong women, that'll let all the other women around you know, okay, he's just giving his presence to anybody. He's not really, a valuable man. He just doesn't give a fuck, right? And on top of that, then you're gonna fuck yourself over. Now, let's move on to number 3. Body language speaks louder than words do. When my brother told me this, I said, okay, what do you mean? Okay, he told me, okay, listen. When you're talking to a woman, there's something you need to keep in mind. If you have this closed off body language and you're looking like you don't want to be there, you're turned away, you're moving like you're nervous, like you're not sure of yourself, you're unconfident, that woman has no choice but to see you as that unconfident man who cannot go after what he wants. So within your body language, you need to be able to convey the actions of a man who knows what he wants, he's confident, and he's not scared to go after what he wants, right? You can talk all the, smooth game you want, but if that word that comes out of your mouth, those words do not align with your body language, guess what's gonna happen? Guess what's gonna happen? You're going to be seen as a faker, somebody who's not doing what he says he's going to do, right? Because it's not aligned. Your body language is all over the place. So when you're talking to women, you make that eye contact with her. You don't gotta stare at her like this. You don't gotta do all that. But what you need to do, look at that woman, gentle smile. You want to come off as this cool, calm guy who's grounded, present within this moment, and looking to, indulge in this new experience with this woman, because it's an experience that you're gonna provide her, and she needs to see that, right? So your body language is always going to be the most important thing when it comes to talking to women, right? Please don't go out there, just staring at her titties. No, look at her in her eye, right? We know she got big titties. We know she got a nice booty. We know she got, all that going on in that department. But I'm looking at her in her eye, right? And when she's not looking at me like, hey, baby, I see you looking everywhere, elsewhere, but maybe you should just lay your eyes on me for once. That's all it is, right? Redirect her. Tell her what you want her to do. That's what she's gonna do. Hey man, hey man, if you made it this far, you get some value right now, comment the word value in the comments down below, right? But that leads me to number 4. Approach with confidence. You don't want to be approaching a woman coming off as this guy who's not sure of himself. You need to be sure of your actions. And how do you build this confidence? Well, it comes from believing in yourself, but how do you believe in yourself? Well, to believe something, you need to, see it. You need to hear, you need to actually envision yourself doing it. So how do you get there? You have to do the action over and over and over. The most confident people are the most competent people, right? Because they keep on doing, they're action takers. So you need to start taking more action. Otherwise, you're just gonna be that motherfucker on the wall who's not doing nothing. Look at this cop. Who's on the wall, on his phone, when you see a pretty woman you like, you pulling out the weather app. No, you're a man. You're a fucking man. So you need to go out there and approach with confidence. You need to know in the back of your mind, hey, whether this goes right, whether this goes wrong, I'm the type of man who goes after what I want. I do what I need to do to get to where I need to be. So I don't give a fuck who else thinks otherwise. I know what I'm going to do, right? You need to have that mindset. And if you don't have that mindset, well, I'm sorry, it's just not gonna work, because you're gonna be the type of man who's not going after what he wants, right? So you have to understand, confidence is everything. A woman can tell if you can't fake this either. You cannot fake being a confident man, because the moment you try to fake it, it's already coming off. They can smell it. Okay, this guy isn't really sure of himself, right? So you need to be your most authentic self. No, don't just think confidence is trying to be like somebody cool, charismatic. No. What is the most authentic version of you who is present within that moment, who is the most calm and collected? Be that individual. Be that person. You don't want to be the person who's just sitting here, not present in the moment. He's looking around. He's not really there. He's scared to go after what he wants. He doesn't want to say what's on his mind because he's scared of rejection. No. You say what the fuck is on your mind because you're a man. Right? You're a man who shouldn't be scared of that. Now, I want to talk about number 5. Women should never be your main priority. I know we're talking about women, right? But He told me, my big brother told me, when it comes to women, they should never be your main priority. They're just a byproduct, right? Because you gotta understand, if you don't have yourself together, why are you even trying to involve another woman in your life? It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. So now when you're dealing with this woman, guess what's happening, right? You know that, hey, you're prioritizing her. There's an analogy I like to make. You can have a business and you can have a woman, right? If you focus on your business, guess what? You can still lose the woman, but you won't lose the business, right? However, if you focus on the woman, you can lose your business and still lose the woman. So why the hell are you focused on that woman? No, this is why you need an abundance of women. You shouldn't be in this mindset of where you're thinking in a scarce amount. It's like, oh wow, I don't have a lot of women. You know, you need to be in abundance mindset at all times. You need to be in that state of mind. Live that. Because if you don't, guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna be in a scarcity mindset. You're gonna think you need all these different women because you don't have any. No, you have women. There are women out here who want you. You need to understand, know, and believe that. And then, guess what the universe is going to do? It's going to reward you with the way you're thinking, because your reality is created by your mind. Your mind creates your reality. And listen, if you're a high-performing man, you should have an abundance of women in your dating life. You should have a successful dating life. But if you don't, it's simply because you don't have self-mastery. You know, you haven't achieved it. So if you want to achieve self-mastery so you can become the type of man high-value women naturally choose, just click that first link in the description and apply to work with me, man. I got some different options, different coaching programs that will definitely help you at whatever phase of the journey you're at. Now, number 6, prioritize self-love. You know, there's no greater love than self-love, right? You can, do whatever you want. You can have all of these people that quote unquote love you and, have your mother loving you, have your father loving you, have your this, that, and the third. But listen, if you don't love yourself, how can you expect others to truly love you to that level? Because you have to understand, the more you love yourself, that's gonna let others know how much they can actually love you. So if you're just letting yourself go, you're not prioritizing your health, you're not in the gym, you're not taking care of yourself, your hygiene, your business, your finances, your mentality, all of that, everything within your life, your spiritual, all of that is so important. And if you don't take care of it, other people are gonna be like, okay, well, I'm gonna give him this level of respect. I'm going to give him this amount of respect because he obviously doesn't respect himself, so why would I? That's what you're telling the world. When you don't love yourself, when you don't take care of yourself, you're telling the world, you're telling the women to see you as a man they shouldn't take serious, as a man they should not even respect if you don't respect yourself that much. So you have to prioritize that, You gotta prioritize yourself, because guess what? Even when it comes to business, right? Yeah, you're taking care of the business, but guess what? If you go down, so does the fucking business. That's why when something happens to your health, everything else goes out the window, right? You gotta make sure you're okay so you can actually live a fruitful life. So women, honestly, shouldn't even be, clouding your mind, right? You need to be focused on yourself first. That's the first and foremost thing. I honestly should have put that earlier on in the video before I even talked about it. But yeah, that's number 6. Now, let's talk about number 7. What my brother told me. Don't let a woman cross your boundaries. I remember my brother was dealing with this woman. I ain't gonna say her name, but pretty much this woman had a water bottle and he was downstairs. Like, imagine he's downstairs, she's upstairs. And she's like, here, you say you want the water, here. She throws it down the stairs. It comes rolling and crashing into the door. And she expects him to pick it up off the floor as if he was some fucking dog. You know what he did? He said, you pick that shit up. Matter of fact, I'll leave because I don't like the energy you're portraying to me. I don't like, this type of vibe you're giving me. I don't tolerate this, right? And he left. And what did that woman do? That woman called him, apologized, and said she wouldn't do that again. But it all came from him respecting himself and not letting that woman cross his boundaries, right? It was another woman he was dealing with, right? He told her, hey, look, baby, I don't like this going on. I don't like when you do this, right? So guess what? I told you before, now I gotta go. Now it's over with. He's not scared to walk away from a woman if she's crossing his boundaries. And it's all because he respects and loves himself. So he told me, as a man, you need to love, respect, and build that relationship with yourself. When it comes to dating, you should be dating yourself first before you should even be dating a woman. Always. There's no reason you should be sitting here letting, women just make you feel less than. No. You're a man, you're a king, you're a man of value. You're the man who's gonna go after what he wants. You're going to achieve success. You're going to do everything in this world that's great for you, and you cannot allow women to dictate your future and where you go. No. Hell no. Hell no. Right? You need to make sure you on point. So, let's move on to the next point. Number 8, never force or settle for a relationship. There are going to be women in your life who are going to say, okay, to get this, for us to maybe, indulge in this intimacy, we got to date first. We got to, get into a relationship. It was like this woman I was dealing with. She was like, yeah, I'd like to do things with you. I'd love to do X, Y, Z. I love to give you some of this punani, but we got to be in a relationship. You know what I told her? I said, look, baby, you're not going to sit here and use that as leverage against me. I told you, I am dating myself, I am loving on myself, and I will not sit here and be forced into a relationship just to get some punani. Think about how you sound right now, right? Now, I'm not even worried about getting that, because if you genuinely was fucking with me, and if we're genuinely, mutually interested in each other, guess what? It'll happen naturally, right? And my brother, he always uses that line, I'm dating and loving on myself right now. I am dating and loving on myself. So that's the same thing you need to be doing. Don't be forced into a relationship that you truly didn't want. Don't settle for a relationship because you're in a scarcity mindset. No, that's not how that works. At all times, you need to be aware and you need to be intentional with everything you do. With everything you do. Because if you're not, you're going to be manipulated by this world and the women within it. So you need to understand that. If you don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you. But I will tell you this next goddamn point. Number 9, always be the most authentic version of you. We kind of talked about authenticity a bit earlier in this video, but I want to tell you something very specific about authenticity. Authenticity is so important because there's nobody else in this world who can be you. There is absolutely nobody in this world who can be you. A man could dress like you, a man could talk like you, a man could smell like you, but he could never in his damn life be you. That's the advantage we have as men. Every one of us is different in that regard because there's nobody else that can replicate what we are. Baby, they can't. What's that song? Baby, they can't imitate it, but they can't demonstrate. I don't know the fucking song. Y'all let me know in the comments. I know what the fuck that song is. It was like, baby, they can't imitate it. I don't know. It was some shit. In other words, though, motherfucker, people can't be you. You're the only version of you. So you need to walk through this world understanding that. You need to walk through this world knowing, hey, there is no other man like me. I'm the man, the most authentic version of myself who's going to be the successful man that I say I'm going to be, right? So you just gotta have that mindset. And this is all mental. It took me a while to get here, right? But I kept getting laced with this game from my older brother. And I truly started to understand, okay, wow, I am in control of my life. I can be myself. I'm not scared anymore to sit down in my car and bump my music loud as fuck with the windows rolled down. I used to be so insecure. I gotta make sure, I turn it down a bit. I don't want to disturb anybody. But no, that was just because in my earlier years growing up, I was always told to be quiet, shut the fuck up. Hey, stop talking so much. You're too loud. Stop doing this. This is cringy, right? And I let all of that affect the way I was. I let the naughty, strange looks people were giving me affect how I would conduct myself as a man. So I started telling myself, okay, well, which version of myself do I really want to be? Do I want to be this man who's scared to be who I really am? Do I want to keep putting on this mask? Do I want to keep putting on this false identity that doesn't even correlate or align with the man I want to become. It didn't make sense. So I did number 10. Number 10, focus on self-mastery. And when it comes to self-mastery, there are 3 areas you want to focus on: habits, discipline, and purpose, right? So what does habits have to do with self-mastery? Well, think about it. You see, your thoughts turn into ideas, and your ideas then turn into actions. And then when you consistently do those actions, they turn into habits. And those habits, when you consistently maintain them, fund your success. You see, when you're out of alignment with your habits, guess what? You're mindlessly just doing anything, right? I would even say the biggest thing out of them all, out of these 3, is discipline. Why? You see, me and my friend Bryce, he's a successful entrepreneur. Last year, right? We're working on our business. We're trying to get our habits on point, right? He told me, hey, have you noticed something? I said, what? He said, we went through 99 plus habits this year, trying to find the best habits, right? We used to habit track together, and we finna actually hop back on it, right? He said, but do you know one thing that makes all of them work? That if we would have just had it, we would have been successful? I said, what? Discipline. I said, the fuck? He said, out of these 99 habits, not one of them work without discipline. And we've been focused on trying to do all of these different things. Read these many books, do all of these actions, work out this many times a week, do this, do that. All of these different habits, but only one makes all of them work: discipline. And we haven't even mastered that. I said, damn, right? So you have to understand discipline and habit, those go together. But what's the next thing, right? Because you can work toward trying to be a successful entrepreneur, a successful this, that, and the third. Purpose is what's going to actually give you that fulfillment, though. You see, I was sitting there about 2 years ago in my room trying all of these different business models: affiliate marketing, UGC, which is user generated content, AI theme pages, right? Email copywriting. I had, what else? Drop shipping. I had all of this different shit. Instagram theme page. I had all of this different shit. Whole time, I really wanted to do content creation. I wanted to do what I'm doing now. I just wanted to, hop on the camera, I just know I wanted to do content creation. But I kept avoiding it because I was always chasing that shiny object. But when I dialed in on my purpose, I finally understood, wow, I feel fulfilled doing this. No matter what. Yeah, there are other things that can make me even more money than I'm doing now, but I love doing this, right? And I always had this option of, teaching people how to grow on social media, teaching people how to grow on different platforms like Instagram and TikTok, monetize or whatnot. And that would actually make me way more money than I feel, dating coaching would. Well, actually, I don't believe that, right? Because I feel like, whatever you put your time into, whatever you focus on the most, wherever you water the grass, that's where it's going to be greener. The grass is only greener when you water it. But I definitely can make a lot of money doing that. But then I said, okay, well, what do I really want to do? What do I love doing? What do I want to prioritize? What am I willing to give my all to? I said, okay, I want to do this. Self-mastery, dating, confidence. Now, these are the things that I like to talk about. And these are the things that I've been through. So what I'm trying to say is, once you get these dialed in, your habits, your discipline, your purpose, once you lock those in, you're going to achieve self-mastery. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all later.